Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the RuneQuest rules by Chaosium Incorporated. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and rune magics are on the way. As this is our Glorantha, we will remind listeners that it may vary from the one you already know and love. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Always Podcast. I am your game master this evening, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him. And we are back with our Adventures in Dragon Pass, our RuneQuest adventure series. And we want to welcome you in, whether you're a listener, but especially if you're a Patreon supporter. You can check out what we have to offer on patreon.com/thealwayspodcast. And Patreon members are currently enjoying their RuneQuest episodes a little early because we appreciate their support. So supporters get episodes a little early, and that sometimes can create a lot of fun. You can check us out on YouTube as well. And you can also jump over to Twitch, subscribe there at the Old Ways Twitch, and see what we do visually to entertain you. And now we will get to player and character introductions, which begin to my right.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Heather. My pronouns are she, her. I play Lysana, a Terraborn, healer, midwife, and initiate of the Blessed Earth Mother Ernaldal. Honor and praise to the blood that binds us. And I'm having a little bit of trouble trying to keep my anger in check, even though my goddess has already said, you need to do that. So Lysana's kind of in this, a little bit of an inner struggle going on right now.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing how you deal with that. Next to Lysana.
This is Jake playing Varghast, initiate of Orlanth, the Shah of the Rainbow Worm. And I've had enough of this woman. I'm going to tie her up like a sack of potatoes and just lug her around.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see all the encumbrance therein. And next to Varghast.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Finn the Fisherman. And sack of potatoes, you say? That's, bringing to mind mashed potatoes. Did you get any mashed potatoes from the inn?
No, sorry, but we did get some other things.
Interesting. So next to Finn.
This is Morgan, and I play Alara, formerly Hill-based Stead. Our pronouns are she, her, and Alara is a devout cultist of Marangor, the goddess for earthquakes and quake beasts, like dinosaurs. And right now I'm wearing a dinosaur shirt, just so you know, in hopes of being able to summon one tonight. And we're on our way to Boldhome.
Indeed. If you summon a quake beast tonight, things will definitely get interesting. And last, but most certainly not least.
Hi, this is Rena. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm playing Faisal, any and all pronouns, initiate of Humocht and of Heller. And I think I've got my hands full dealing with this group.
Oh, I don't think so. I know so. So when we last left our adventurers, they had just tied up a loose end, so to speak, in the form of a Lunar Priestess who about got away and almost landed a madness spell on Faisal. It didn't work out, which is good because madness spells are permanent. But that being said, they they didn't know that until I just said it, which is great. The visual reaction that you're not getting on the audio here is priceless. So you have tied up Sed's Lunar Priestess a la a sack of potatoes, and you are now hefting her over one shoulder, and you are making your way to Boldhome. And so a few hours pass. Eventually, she not stops struggling, but eventually she just lets go a little bit. Your shoulder is probably not very comfortable to ride on for her, but I don't know that you care at this point. The trek uphill, though, will begin to wear on you. Boldhome, again, is high up in the mountains. It is one of its endearing qualities when it comes to this pass area. And you are beginning to slowly make your way up, and far, far ahead, you can see where the mountains cut left and right. And you can see where on top of it, there's a strip of brick in the distance that actually signify the walls of Boldhome. There are flags, and you are going to start soon encountering people. So I wonder, for the rest of you who aren't carrying a priestess on your shoulder for several hours, you were fortunate enough to get food from the inn. Is that something that you're sharing with the rest of the folk here?
Yes. Yeah, making sure that everybody, at least of our little group, not necessarily her, but the rest of the group, has a significant portion of the food that was food and drink that we were able to acquire from the inn. Everyone can have something a little bit more, because until we get to Boldhome, it's going to be whatever road rations, whatever we can find from hunting and gathering on the way. So might as well enjoy it. So probably not going to split it until we actually sit down for some type of meal, so that it can be split up and everyone can actually sit and enjoy it. So I'm hoping Finn is not disgusted by the dried fish, though you're probably used to it. Actually, you might even welcome it. So a little taste of home, so to speak. And then we can kind of gather up, I guess, whatever crumbs or leftover bits that she could be fed from. But I will leave that to Finn, because I don't think Lysana trusts herself right now.
And Finn, I'm going to give you this in sort of your left ear. You hear a voice that says, I smell ale. Does somebody have a drink without us?
Yeah. Okay, that is rude. Rude. Finn gets up, takes the food from Lysana, leans into Varghast.
Are you okay, Finn?
Maybe I would have liked an ale.
Well, I couldn't very well bring mugs out full of ale.
Well, yes, I keep them chained to the bar. I'm going to go feed my priestess. No, it's fine. Finn heads over and shoves food under the mouth gag, and then pulls it away from her mouth just enough so she can chew it twice and swallow it, and then puts the mouth gag back.
It was a matter of hospitality, Finn. He offered, and as is proper, we accepted.
All right, but next time we find an inn, I'm going in. Man gets thirsty watching this.
I'm sure when we get to Boldhome, I will be glad to buy a round for us. I think we're all going to need it, possibly a few. I will buy the first round. How about that? On me.
All right. Well, let's heft this sack of tubers and get it to market, shall we?
Yes.
So you begin your approach to the east gate.
We're not going to be able to get in the gate with this.
Okay, so how would you like to try to enter the city?
Well, all of us aren't going to be able to enter the city. A couple of us are going to have to enter the city, approach the merchants about doing a trade.
Give me a knowledge homeland roll.
25 under 40.
Okay, that's a good roll. You think that if you bring her in out in the open, that provided you're being upfront with it, there shouldn't be an issue.
So you're saying I think I could probably just...
Well, you're not waltzing in, but obviously the guards at the gates are going to have questions for you.
And, bondage is legal here, so...
It is. Bondsmen are legal here. And it would not be uncommon for there to be battles and for people to be ransomed. That is a part of life.
Okay.
That's why people try not real hard not to get captured.
We'll lead this prize pig to market then, shall we?
So there's something that begins to come over everybody. Maybe not Faisal as much because you've been in this city before. You've at least passed through it. You begin encountering people. Some farmers, some merchants, different people that are just on this path that are, some of them are camped outside of the gates. Others are going to market with various wagons, goods. And you start hearing this din, this sound that you're not familiar with. And it sounds like voices, lots of voices. You continue to climb. The city of Boldhome it sits high atop, right in this space between peaks that are sacred to Orlanth. That's a story that all of you would know. You would also know that it's the most populous city in all of Dragon Pass. It is a place that gets snow. It has warm summers. And the structures here are likely built very much from that sturdy stone nearby. Some of you would probably also know that many of the major goddesses and gods that are worshipped have major temples here. Not just temples, but like there is a major Ernaldan temple here. And one to Orlanth Rex. The one that is the temple that's built to Orlanth Rex is famed in all of Dragon Pass. And so there is more than just walls. There is more than just rock people. It's a hum that the Heraborn are not used to, which is civilization. The East Gate is on top of a very steep cliff. A cliff this group climbs. Are you going to keep her on your shoulder or are you going to walk her?
I guess I could walk her at this point.
Okay. You start to walk her.
Keep my hand on her shoulder.
Mm-hmm. You begin walking her up this path. You are all traveling on sort of a serpentine space. It's very calming for you, Lysana, to see the form of the serpent. That is a dead giveaway that Ernalda is here, as snakes are one of the many icons of Ernalda. It weaves its way into the city. There's a tower that you pass. None of you have seen a stone tower like this before. It towers over the walkway. It sits out. It acts as a lookout on the valley below. Right near this tower, churning underneath your feet, Finn, you can feel the rush of the water. As on the left-hand side, you see the tower, but on the right, there's a amazing waterfall that flows out of the side of the mountain and down into the valley, creating a placid lake. You weave back towards the city. So after you pass the tower, you begin picking up on a couple of different things. You start seeing what you can only imagine are the guards of Boldhome. Spears and arrows and places that have been built up. You weave back your way towards the East Gate, and you eventually get out in front of these just towering arches. And you can see that the gates are open because it's roughly the afternoon. Big doors that have been sort of pushed aside, and there are, I'm probably 5, 6 guards that just sort of mill around this space as traders come in and out. And there is this indelible feeling that you have when you look deeper into this space and you see green pasture lands that mix with not walkways roads that exist inside this space, and longhouses and structures. And then the city to your left, as you look, rises on the rock faces. And there are temples and smoke from fires and rows and rows and rows of houses. And it's shocking.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
I don't think any of us truly are. But we're here to do something with her.
Yeah.
At least that might...
Shah suggested we talk to a group of merchants.
Did he happen to mention which one? Because there seems to be all of them here.
Probably the Asaris. And Faisal has just been walking along, taking everything in, not even noticing just how shell-shocked the Heraborn are looking, because this is completely normal to me. Just casual. No, probably the Asaris. It should be about that direction.
Okay.
Yeah. You probably realize when, Faisal, that you're getting a little far ahead of them. You're walking into a city. Okay, well, then we'll just sort of re-engineer what we're at. And it doesn't mean that you sort of drop your guard entirely, but obviously behind the protected walls of Boldhome, you feel a little bit safer. And you realize that a lot of the Heraborn here are maybe walking a little slower because it's just a lot of gawking going on. I would say even
the gate.
Yeah, even Arcat, next to Alara, is hugging against her legs because he's not comfortable being around so many people.
I slow down a little bit so they can catch up. Okay. I forgot.
Have you been here before?
So many people.
Multiple times.
Smell. All the smells. The wind does not get through these walls very well.
So if you don't want to draw attention to yourselves, you might want to not stare quite so much.
There's so much to see.
We even begin.
Well, we probably want to start with getting rid of her.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And then we can have a look around and so on afterwards. But just don't stop and stare quite so much. You will stand out, and that is not something you really want at this point in time, I don't think. I'm genuinely slightly baffled by the fact that they are so overwhelmed by everything going on. This is completely normal for me.
The bumpkins are loose in the city.
Yeah. The country mouses, mises, the country mises are... Oh. Okay, the Asari?
Temple of Asaris, yes.
Okay, that would be good. Purpose. We go there. And I guess maybe by chance keep an eye out to see if there's anyone that we remotely recognize. Maybe that made it out from the battle. There might still be hope.
It's not to say that there isn't a lunar presence here, because there is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there is an occupation going on. But it looks like there is definitely a mix in the streets of some city guards, and it isn't too terribly long before you start seeing very distinct lunar armors. It isn't too long at all.
Maybe we shouldn't be on the main streets.
We should probably try to blend in with the crowd and avoid them seeing her.
So, Faisal, if you give me a homeland lore roll, I'll give you a little bit of information that you would have, because you've passed through this city before, and you don't live too terribly far north.
Okay. 30. Okay. That's fine. 21.
Okay. So there are a varying number of temples here. Some of the temples dedicated to Orlanth are likely currently, I think occupied's probably the right word for it. One of the things that the Lunar Army does especially well during the occupation is that they they get into a city, and then what they do is they express their religion. And one of the other things that they do is also go directly against Orlanth, and they work to basically bar his temples from being open. So not uncommon that happens. Not uncommon at all. But there are a ton of other temples, minor temples, right? So you'd know that Boldhome has great temples to Ernalda and to Isaris, and major temples to Shala Aroy and Humak, which you're familiar with. The building is unmistakable because it looks like the death rune. That's the way it's shaped. And then there are some other minor temples, including Marangor, Babista Gor, Tykoratak, Yelm, etc. You would also know that this city is, well, quite famous for all of its Vinga warriors. So they have more than enough to choose from. But getting to the Asari's temple is not hard at all. You just have to get down through Market Street and ideally not be spotted carrying or dragging a woman. That's a good question. Did you keep her head covered, by the way?
Is she recognizable? Is she like have recognizable as
she's,
a lunar?
She's completely bald.
Yeah.
And she has lunar rune markings and like tattoos.
Yeah, we're keeping her head covered.
Ring her head. Yes.
Yeah.
She's 100% recognizable. Okay. Make some rolls here. See what happens. See if maybe somebody takes notice. And then I'll say, based on your roll, you have a fairly good idea on Market Street where the major Asari's temple is. There is a definitive building on my map here, and I'm just going to call it the Asari's temple because that's my purview. I have the ability to do that. It's done. Now canon. It looks like a big bank. It's got columns. It's beautifully colored. It's flying a bunch of different colored flags. Asari's is a very colorful deity. Also has quite a bit of brass and gold colorings to him. It's also positioned at a place where there are multiple streets that connect to it, which does also befit the god of communication. You get a lot of looks as you walk this person down the road with a bag on their head or a sack and somebody who is tied up. No one makes a move directly, but I'd be remiss if I did not ask the entire party to make scan rolls as this was going on.
87 over 25.
So 75 over 40.
4 under 35.
Got a 31 over 40. 31 under 40.
And I got a 63 over 25.
Okay. So without a doubt, Finn sees what's going on. You see it before it happens. You said 4 under what?
4 under 35.
So 4 under 35 is a special. And then you'll pick up on this in a little bit, Alara, because you made a successful roll. There's a couple people that are hanging out near the entrance of a building nearby. You think it might be perhaps it's an inn, perhaps it's a place of comfort. And you get a look, and then like a second look. And then a couple of people dip back inside the building.
Finn steps back to be a little closer to Varghast. I think we've been made.
We can't do anything about it right now. We just gotta double time into the temple, I guess.
Well, sure. Just to let you know, though. A couple of gents building over there.
Lunars?
I would say on your special, you more than likely, yeah.
Probably. That That was the feel I got.
All right, well, I guess we're going to move faster.
You begin to hustle. Faisal, you realize that hustling is likely the opposite of what you would want to do because you're going to draw attention to yourself. And you do. But it doesn't mean you don't close the distance between where you're at and the Asari's temple quicker. There's an awful lot of people outside of it doing trade and doing business. And my question is the entire group going inside? Is it just you and the red woman? What's the breakdown?
Well, I'm out of my depth here, so
Do you need my assistance?
that would probably be a good idea. Yeah.
I say the two of you and this thing. He hands the rope to Vargast.
All right.
So the inside of the Asari's temple is a wonder. You have never been inside a grand temple before of any deity, let alone Asari's. And so the finery here is on full display. There are like brass statues or bronze statues and beautiful mosaic inlaid floors. You've never seen a mosaic floor before. It's unbelievable. Everything here is polished and clean to a very high sheen. There are benches where people sit and seemingly wait. And then there are windows where there are Asari's merchants behind selling their goods. There's a high back and forth talking that goes on here. And many merchants are using paper to write down in their ledger books. A lot of active trade.
I just look around, befuddled.
So I'm going to look around for someone, for a merchant of Asari's who isn't currently engaged in transactions.
Righty. You look around and you are going to attempt to locate a merchant that's frankly not busy. And that might be a little more complicated than you might think, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt that Asari's knows that there is money to be made and therefore will, of course, provide in his grand temple someone who is available. You hunt around for a little bit on foot. There are multiple levels to the temple, but you step around the main sort of core portion of it. You do like this circuit, and you're effectively like just basically hauling her through this place until you find somebody. And then you see a figure behind one of these stalls that has a window. If you think of like an old sort of old time bank setup, and you hear a voice call to you. How may I help you? Are you in need of any assistance?
Look at Vargast and kind of nod with my head over in that direction.
Go up to the window.
Oh, good day.
Good day.
I am happy to see that business has arrived.
Yes, I hope you can help us out. We need to negotiate a ransom.
He looks up. You see him sort of adjust what looks like he wears a very tall, sort of steepled hat, multicolored. He adjusts his beard a little bit, which is, of course, perfect in every possible way, ringed with beautiful, luxurious ornaments. Did you say a ransom?
Yes, we have a prisoner.
Oh, well, goodness. Taken freely? He sort of looks at you, Faisal.
Yes.
I see. And you wish an intercessor.
Yes.
Negotiations begin at 40%.
Just a little steep.
You are free, of course, to shop around for another negotiator.
You said they begin at 40%.
That's correct. Depending upon the need of the, seller, in this case you, then that price can go up by a minor amount, but it can go up. And At which point, then we would enter into negotiations based on the need and then based on the difficulty to ransom said individual.
Well, I'm sure the individuals purchasing will be very interested in returning this individual.
Yes, of course. As is any ransomer's hope, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That they would open the coffers and simply dump as many pieces and wheels your way. Yes? Well, I certainly hope they do.
Of course.
My name is Leno.
I'm Vargast.
And tell me, Vargas, for record-keeping purposes, where did you encounter this person, and do you know their name?
I encountered them in battle. I do not know their name.
Right. Very well. We will need to know who they are. Otherwise, we do not know who we are ransoming.
I will push them forward and then briefly lift up the bag just so he can see.
You lift up the bag and you get a waft of fish, like dried fish, and he looks at them. I don't know them by their face, but I see you've gagged them?
Yes. We thought it prudent.
Very well. Bring her forward.
Okay.
You bring her forward, and the Isari's merchant looks at her and tries to get her eye contact. And he says, I would very much like to work this arrangement to be beneficial to all parties. You understand? And you see her just sort of reluctantly nod. I do not wish to harm you in any way. I simply wish to make sure that if there are people which you would like us to contact, that you tell me who you are and where I may contact them. And then she's silent for a little bit.
I'll remove the gag if you promise to behave.
The Isari's merchant looks very concerned all of a sudden. But has she been misbehaving?
A little bit.
Well, I can ensure her compliance in some way, or I can attempt to anyway.
I would just hate for her to use some of her skills against you.
Oh, yes. No, I see she's quite adorned there. Looks like devotee of the Seven Mothers? And that gets like a physical reaction out of her. She looks up and she looks at him. You know, there's a temple of the Seven Mothers here in Boldhome.
Mm-hmm. As I surmised.
Well, how about this? You don't have to speak if you don't want to. But if you would very much like to be taken back to your people, we're going to need to know who you are. So perhaps you could write it down for me? I assume you know how to write. She seems to, react a little roughly to that, and she gestures to her hands, which are bound.
All right, fine. I'll unbind her hands. I'll keep my hand on at least one wrist.
Sure. You keep your hands, a hand on one of her wrists, and she begins writing. And she writes her name out. And as she writes her name out, you see that her given name is Ashigara. And she writes underneath of it, of furthest. And he nods and takes the pen from her. Well, very well. What I will do is I will send a message to the local Seven Mothers Temple. And I will let them know that she has been brought here for ransoming. Now, There is the matter of my fee, which of course will pay out of the ransom amount.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot hold her here. The temple is not a prison. It may take some time for them to reply.
Right. Do you have any recommendations?
Well, in some circumstances, some might seek arrangements. Arrangements you could make to hold her somewhere until it was time to release her. I know that some parties also leave the city and they make an encampment outside until prepared. There are dangers to each. It is very possible that they may reply immediately. She does appear to be in reasonably good health. I will let the Seven Mothers Temples know this, but I do not wish their ire, you understand.
Of course.
Very well. It is 5 L's for the message, then.
Right. Push over 5 L's.
He takes it. He takes the message and hands it to a nearby runner. It's just something that you probably are not necessarily familiar with. There's a young boy here who takes the message and he says, "To this temple of the Seven Mothers, and be quick about it." Runs off. So outside this massive temple, our Hairborn await their decision. I wonder if the three of you are doing anything specific while you're outside, or if you're just sort of relaxing and trying to absorb what the city has.
I'm watching for lunars, since
There are lunars here.
Finn is watching everything with rapt fascination, like the proverbial pants squirrel.
Pants squirrel. Yes. Your friend. We'll give him a name next time he shows up. Answer. Yeah, I would say that you likely see lunars here. They're present in the city. There are likely lunarized Sartorites you see too.
I guess maybe I should be a little more specific of the fact of lunars that take an interest in us.
Oh, okay. So that's a little different. Yeah, sure. So you do end up seeing a couple of men who take up a position at a cart nearby, and they begin to sort of watch your position.
I lean over to Finn and let him know what I'm seeing, but not to look in that direction.
Finn casually looks in the direction that Alara was gesturing.
Yeah, you see him. They're definitely watching you. You see a small boy run out of the temple. He runs up the road.
Finn goes, makes sure he's between them and the leashed one. Casually. Not a defensive, chest puffery action, but just a more of a saunter and a lean and in case.
I think one of us should go tell Faisal and Varghast. Maybe they can find another way out of the temple.
I'll go. I'll see if I can find them. See if you have a better chance of holding them off than I do.
Okay, and if there's another way out, we'll eventually start to go behind the temple, or maybe lead them away from the temple.
If we get split up, maybe we should plan to meet somewhere else. A temple, another temple, something we can all find. Because I'm not sure we could find anything else besides one of those right now. There's got to be like a Temple of Orlanth and Ernalda, and I don't know. Ernalda.
Okay.
Look for the snakes. Easy enough. If we all get split up, just look for the Temple of Ernalda with snakes.
Okay.
All right, good luck. And I head in, and I try to look like I'm flying casual, but I'm definitely looking for them. I'm pretty sure I'm going to fail on that one. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, I don't think you have the ability to fly casual at this point.
Yeah, no. There's way too much. And
you're hunting through like every hallway and stall, and you eventually get to near the sort of back third of this building, and you see Faisal and Vargas, who are certainly not trying to hide themselves. It would be very difficult for them to do so, especially as one of them is holding a woman, tied.
I'll make a beeline towards them.
Okay. Asana arrives.
Have you taken care of business? Is this done? Are we free of her?
Does it look like we're free of her? No, we're just starting.
Well, we may have company. We have definitely been seen by Lunars. Finn and Alara are keeping watch at the front door, but I don't know if something's gonna happen if they're gonna hold them off. Why are we not free of her yet?
Well, they have to send a message to the temple.
Can't we just take her there ourselves?
Did you want to go walking into their temple surrounded by their guards and her prisoner?
Okay, true. Well, we're gonna get... Okay. If we get separated, I told them to meet at the temple of Arnalda.
Okay.
So at least, and Alara said that if there was a way to get out of here, a back door, another exit, maybe we should be taking that because the one we came in is being watched very heavily.
Okay.
You look at the Asari's merchants like looking back and forth at this exchange. Are you wanted?
No. But I'm sure they want her.
I mean, it's obvious, is it not? And I kind of like motion to her head. Wait, is that bagged again?
No, it was back on. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I still motion to her head because I'm guessing.
Well, she came in here with the shroud on. I wouldn't imagine anyone would know her by her simple clothes. But perhaps they did. I don't know.
I don't know. But apparently some individuals have taken an interest in us, so...
They will not make trouble in the House of Asaris.
When do you close?
Oh.
Do they ever?
We do. At sunset. Hopefully we will hear back from the runner. If she is someone that they wish to ransom, then there will be a negotiation.
Is this space considered sacred then for all safe passage?
I would say those who value communication and trade would treat it with respect. And those who don't might suffer ill. I would not think that servitors of the Seven Mothers would complicate their lives by creating a problem here.
And at least we have until sunset.
Then we wait.
I'll get the others.
Okay.
Now that don't move. There's a lot of space in this place.
It is. It's very big. Did you see the floor?
I haven't had time. I was trying to find you, but I'll take a look at it when I know the rest of us are together. Just stay here, please. Arnalda's blessings. And I take off back to the front door. I'm playing messenger. We go out to the front door, and I look for Alara and Finn.
No, they're there. They haven't run off yet, as far as I know.
Come inside. I found them, but there's been a complication. Come inside. We'll save her.
In we go.
Okay.
Here, I'll take you. It's a little bit winding. Stay close. And I try to make sure, and we weave through the crowds and everything and get back to the back area where the others are.
Okay.
Getting the gang back together again.
You weave your way through the temple with most of them in tow. I say most of them because I already know that Finn is probably that sort of person who immediately like just walks into a place that's new and is like, hey, I'm going to just sort of fuck right off over here. And
I'll stay close to Finn. And any time, his, there's something shiny and his little raven brain decides to go look at it, I will kind of grab like the back of his shirt or whatever and tug him.
It's tough. It's definitely tough.
Later. You can look later.
You get the quote band back together. It's fascinating in here, Finn. The colors, the different outfits. Everybody here that's working this place seems to be really well manicured. I think that's the best word for it. All of the Asari's merchants, no matter sort of what their personal flavor are, all of them look like they got up to go to the Oscars today.
Hey, Alara, have you noticed that all of the people in here, if we had them all raise their hands, it would look like a field of lilies? Look at that, all the lily white hands, not a day of work done.
Clara was very confused at first.
Huh.
Look, Finn, I'm glad we're focusing on the important things right now and not trying to get caught by the Lunars. I'm very hyper focused at the moment.
Hyper focused. I like that. So the group corrals for a little while outside of Lanau's, basically his table. And after a while, other people come to do business. And you have to sort of stand aside a little bit to let him get to his work. He does a lot of different money exchanges, trade exchanges. These are all very common business. You've seen, you had an Asari's merchant that came and went and had a place within the inner ring. So you're familiar with what they do and you understand their purpose, but you get a little flavor of the market life for probably about 30 minutes. And it's at that point, after about 30 minutes or so, that the runner comes back. You see him hustling down the hallway towards you, Varghast. And it's at this point, Finn, that you see that those two gentlemen that were watching you outside the market stall, you and Alara see them appear at the end of the hallway as well.
Do they appear with ill intent, or do they appear more like a, we're here in an official manner? Arms
they certainly don't
appear
they're here in an official manner. I'll just put it that way. They look like they've taken each one has taken a side of the hallway, and they're beginning to sort of slowly walk down towards your position. They're a good ways away. They're probably 50, maybe 60 feet away, but they're still moving towards you, albeit slow. The runner certainly gets here before they do. He is carrying a sheaf of paper in his hand.
Hold a hand out to the boy for the sheaf of paper.
He hustles up towards you and then immediately goes around you and goes to the back of this stall where the Asari's merchant is and hands him the piece of paper. And that's when the merchant seems to pay the boy.
He's still watching. Finn is still keeping a very close eye on these gentlemen that are approaching.
Merchant unfurls the paper. Lanau says, well, I have good news. They are willing to pay a ransom.
That's great news.
Yes.
Fantastic.
They are willing. What details? Are there any other details in there?
Yes, there are other details. It cannot be exchanged here, though, of course. It is not our place. You can exchange outside. And so if you accept the ransom, then I will have the boy show the acceptance to them, and then they will bring the ransom and the exchange can be made.
Okay, and what is the ransom?
They are willing to ransom her for 1,500 Ls.
Does that sound fair to me, Mike?
That's a good question. So I would say that you could make a talk me through Faisal's passions.
Passions, we have honor.
Mhm.
And we have hate lunar and hate chaos and loyalty to Sartor.
This is definitely more of a bargain base, but I'm just thinking like you could probably. I don't think honor covers it. I think you could make a bargain roll. Nobody else here probably has had to deal with ransoming anyone before. But being a servitor of Humak, it is likely you've had to deal with the legalities around people being ransomed and like what's fair and what's not.
Well, I have base 5 in bargain, so...
You do, that's true. You could call for runic inspiration using your truth rune.
I could.
And you could attempt to ascertain whether or not, not whether or not the Asari's merchant is telling the truth, but whether or not he believes it's a good deal from the Southern Mothers.
I'll do that. Because I don't want these folks being taken advantage of.
Certainly not. Not after all they've been through. So go ahead and roll against your truth rune.
So, that's a 1. Under 80.
Okay, so...
Humak is with me today.
That's fab. All right, so that is a critical success, which is great. So what you're going to do is add 50% to the chosen ability roll for the appropriate duration determined by the game master. So in this regard, we'll say it's for the process of the exchange.
Okay.
So now you can roll bargain at 55%.
55.
Yes.
Okay, that is a 19.
Okay. 1,500 Ls is likely, given her markings that you have now seen, and given the power that she seems to have, 1,500 might be a little light. If she's a full-on like lunar priestess that's, important, then 2,000, 2,500. And there's all sorts of stuff it could go up to depending on who she actually is. You don't know who she is. That's the problem. You know her name, but you don't know like what position and what her purpose is. And you always figured that the Lunars would lowball you. Let's just be honest.
So I just sort of hold a hand up. That seems a little low to me, friend. I mean, I'm no merchant of Asari's, and I'm sure you would have a much better and deeper understanding of the intricacies of such things, but even to a simple soldier such as myself, that seems a bit on the low side.
I tend to agree. Based on the detail here in this note, it seems that she's far more valuable to them than they want to let on. It does seem that they know who she is, too.
Well, that's not a surprise considering who she traveled with.
Who did she travel with?
Just mentally face-palming Varcast.
Important individual.
The Sari's merchant looks around, not aghast, but just an important individual? Clarity here, please. This is not a time for vagaries. Who did she travel with?
Well, she was in the party of King Kainharo.
The Asari's merchant puts his hand directly on his face. So, what you are telling me is this woman is the lunar priestess who accompanied King Kangharo. And you captured her.
Yes.
The merchant turns to you, Faisal, and says, I would not accept anything less than 3,000 Ls. It is possible she is his priestess and perhaps even a mistress or concubine. She has great political value.
That sounds more fair to me.
Very well. He takes out the quill and begins writing a note back. You see him scratch out something like a number that they put on the paper, and he writes in another.
Should we ask for more? Not lunars, but safe passage or something to keep them, because once they get her back, aren't our lives possibly, they'll still come after us.
They would be bound by honor.
What we are doing here is honorable. She was captured honorably. We are ransoming her according to the codes of honor. There's a very grim set to my jaw. What we are doing is the right thing. It would be dishonorable of them to retaliate. And I think in such a large city, they wouldn't dare.
Oh, and Lysana glances over at the two lunars who were coming at the group. Are they still continuing to close distance?
They have slowed a little bit. They've stopped at a stall about 3 or so stalls down, and they're watching very carefully this exchange. They're probably out of hearing range still, but they're definitely eyes on her. Now, the messenger will run this back. It will likely initiate a few things. There will be a representative from the temple who will come here to confirm that,
Of course.
she is
Is
in.
who she says she is.
Yes. And the Asari's person turns and sort of looks down the hallway, Finn, at these gentlemen who are sort of vexing the location. And you hear him raise his voice just a little bit. And when he speaks over the entire din of the place, and he says, "And it would be bad form to attempt anything untoward until our negotiations are over. Isari's looks very unkindly at those who make trouble in his temple."
Finn looks back at the Asari priest. Yeah, see, that's what I was understanding as well. Turns and looks at the gentleman that we're walking
they
up.
turn and face a stall and look at baubles and whatnot. The runner leaves as fast as he can, and the Asari's merchant says, "Nothing to do now, but wait for the report."
We will move off to the side here, let you continue your business.
Thank you. And I'm going to let us move off to the side and end this episode. So thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Adventures in Dragon Pass as we continue to play through RuneQuest. We have a wonderful story ahead of you, and I can't wait to see the hijinks ensue now that our bumpkin Haraborn are inside the capital. So thank you, and good night.